Hi guys, it's Emily from Novell Novels and welcome to today's video. This is my August wrap-up part 2 and I'm back. As of today, all my videos will be on routine on the Mondays and the Fridays for those new subscribers, with the odd extra video coming up on a Wednesday. And in fact, next Wednesday we've got a special announcement and I can't wait to tell you that one. So, shall I get on and tell you the stats first? Well, if you guys watched the vlog that I put up on Wednesday, you will have seen that I bought quite a few books. And that was part 1. Part 2 will be going up next week. But I did buy 50 books this month. Yeah, I know, I've got to get better. But putting it into context, I read 41 books this month. So that's not bad. Only 27 of them were off my unread shelf. So that means I started off this month with less books. I've forgotten to write that down. But I read 41 books. I had 26 of my own. I got gifted 11 books and bought 50 books. So my new unread total is 422 books, which, yeah, is pretty big. I'm going to be working on changing things in September, in the fact that I'm now going to go to town only every other week and go to my charity shop near me, not as often. Try and stick to once a week if I can. And obviously I do my Amazon order once a month. September's kind of a little bit different. But, you know, I am trying, guys. But now I've listened to 2 audiobooks this month. Thank goodness for the library app. I love it. It's called the Borrow Box on my library app, and Simon from Savage Reads inspired me to use my library more, and that's how I'm using it. I've got the audiobooks, which are really good because it means I can do housework while I listen to them, and I've now discovered the ebooks, and the ebooks are brilliant because I can get a lot of new releases on that, which I can't get on the audiobooks. So loving that at the moment. But now, should I get to the other statistics bit, the genres read bit. And this bit is the bit I'm really proud of this month. Considering I've had all the children off and I've been looking after my friend's little girl as well, we've had to be entertaining them. I didn't think I would get to 41 books, but I have read quite a few shorter ones, which you'll see. But I've read 1 horror. Unfortunately, that was a big boo-boo. You'll see that soon. 1 poetry book, which that was actually quite good. I really enjoyed that. It's not a poetry book, it's a book written in verse. So I love that. Then we've got 3 mystery and thrillers. Yes, love that. Read some really good ones on that. 4 fantasy. You guys know I'm loving my fantasy now. 4 classics. That's not bad. I thought it'd be less. But I've obviously got a lot to be read in October, so that's the month I'm really looking forward to. 5 non-fiction. Some of them have been good, some of them not so good. 7 contemporary and 7 chick lit. Yeah, I needed the comfort. With looking after the children a lot, it's been busy. I needed that easy read, especially towards the latter half of the month. I really, really needed the chick lit just to be gentle on me. But then the genre I've read the most of, historical fiction. I've read 9 historical fiction books and I have loved them. They have been, I love my historical fiction. And I am so excited by the ones I've read. I can't wait to show you all of them. I've loved August's books, and I'm looking forward to September as well. But August, in general, I've read so many good ones. But this half, obviously I'll link part 1 of my August part 1 at the end. It's not been as good as the second half in my books, in the fact that I've read a lot more 3 stars. I've read some 3 stars and some 2 stars, and more 4 stars and 5 stars. So it's not been as good in the second half, but I've read more. So hish pish, balances up. And shall I show you what books I've read now? 4 minutes of rabbiting. God, you guys are going to be fed up with me. The first and most disappointing book of the month for me was my first ever Stephen King, which is Bag of Bones. Didn't understand it, didn't get it. It wasn't really horror as in horror, but I'm counting it as my horror because I want to get it off my shelf. I want to get that to one of my targets. It's not that great. I'm hoping I like the rest of Stephen King's books more. I'm planning to read Carrie with Tia in October, and I'm hoping that's going to be better than this because I really was disappointed. It was a Bag of Bones. I didn't understand the link to the title. I didn't understand it. I read it because I felt like I had to read it. But if I would have had a choice, I probably would have DNF'd it. And I should have really DNF'd it because I didn't like it. So that is going to the charity shops. I'll show you a book in a bit. Then I read this YA book that my sister Charlie gave me last year. I wanted to clear it off my shelves, and I thought, end of the month, I'm going to clear it. It's a YA kind of book that's sort of contemporary. It's Why They Broke Up. 2 bottle caps, a movie ticket. This is Ed, and this is the story of why we broke up. This is the story of a young couple and why they broke up. Not really engaging. I did like the pictures in it. There's some really cool pictures. So I'm not going to show you that one. That's a rude one. Packet pictures of condoms. That's not right. There you go, let me see. I've got, why am I not organised this month? But I have got, there are some really good pictures. There you go, like that. There's some really cool pictures in that did make it enjoyable. But again, really blur, a bit too YA. If you like YA, maybe try it. But it was too YA for me and not really interesting. So that's Charity Shop. Another one that I wanted to clear off my shelves. It was on my books that I wanted to get read. And Only a Mother Knows. This is a wartime book. It is very, very much, and this is the last in the series apparently, because the author of this actually died while this was towards the end of this, when she was writing this book. So the fact that I think the reason why it only got, this is where it goes into 3 stars, and my 3-star books, but the reason why this only got 3 stars is because it's the 4th in the series. There were 3 other books before that, which I didn't know when I picked it up. Had I read the other books in the series, I think I would have understood it more. It's about, in the midst of the Blitz, the women of Article Row witnessed the heartache and pain inflicted by London by Hitler's bombs. It's about Tilly, who was desperate to wed her view through, and he sets off for America. Then it's her mother Olive's story, and then you've also got Dulcie, who lives there, and her story, which she brought back with an old flame. See, when the end is war, the girls will learn about love and loss. It's very much this typical wartime chick litty kind of book, historical fiction chick litty book. For very individual women's stories, the battles that they went through in the Blitz, and I would never decry what happened in the Blitz or what happened at that time, but it was very much of a typical, you know, you could tell that it was written in that time. Very similar stories to what I've read before, but still 3 stars, it was still alright. But yeah, that's going to Charity Shop pile. Then the next one is one that Chris picked up for me, The Litty Coffee Shop of Kabul. This is only 3 stars, it's probably not one of the best ones he picked for me. Although I've now gone and bought loads of Deborah Rodriguez's books, which I should have read this and then bought her books. This is set in Kabul, and it's about Sunny, Yasmina, Isabel, Candice and Halajan. And it's about how their stories all interlink. It's very dangerous. It's set in Kabul, so it's a very dangerous place to live, especially if you're a woman. And they've each got very different stories. Some of these stories in here are very heartbreaking. Some of them are very hard. Some of the stuff, there is triggers for rape and abuse, bombings, things like that. So it is a well-written book. I found certain bits of it harder than others. I didn't fly through it as much as I wanted it to. It was good, but it was just average. So that's another Charity Shop. Another one that Chris picked, which wasn't one of his best, Smokey the Brave. I bought this for my birthday this year. I wanted to love it. It's got a dog on the cover. It's about dogs and it's about World War II. But I didn't link in. It's non-fiction. I didn't enjoy it as much. It's just again very graphic to what happened in the war. The settings, the characters. I didn't like it as much as I wanted to. It was all right, but just not explosive. So another one that's going to Charity Shop. The next one, Charlie lent me ages ago. I've been meaning to get through to it. So at the end of the month, like I said, I try and read the book, mix up the books that I've been borrowed, that I've had on my shelves for ages from Charlie and my other sister, and my books on my own shelf. So I alternate them to try and get rid of them off. This one had high ratings, and it was a long listed for the Man Booker Prize in 2017. I saw that Katie from Books and Things has actually read this. She rated it, I think, 4 or 5 stars. I only rated it 3. It is a contemporary, I believe, or historical fiction, I'm not entirely sure. And it's about midwinter in the early years of this century. A teenage girl on holiday goes missing. And it's about the village, and it's about how, over the course of the time, all these characters' lives. I actually now think it should be 3.5 stars, because it was alright. You know, it was really interesting to see how the people that were connected to the girl that went missing, their lives moved on. But I didn't feel that the ending was much. You didn't find out what happened to the girl. Was she alive? Did she just disappear? What happened to her? That kind of, to me, was a bit disappointing. It's all right, just nothing that much. So yep, Charlie's going to have that back, or she'll give it to the Charity Shop. But those are the lower star ratings books, and now I'm going into the good ones. And oh my goodness, they are really good. just double checking that I haven't. Oh, there was another 3-star book, which was a book that I listened to on audiobook. Yes, it was another audiobook, and it's The Way I Found Her by Rose Tremaine. Now, Rose Tremaine's talked about on Gemma's channel from Read a Book Gem. Love that girl. She's absolutely amazing. Check her out, and I will link her channel below. She's a brilliant lady who's someone that I've got so much in common with her book taste. We're just so alike. It's just, oh, I love talking to her. Think Gemma's absolutely lovely. But she loves Rose Tremaine's books, and I bought one of them that's in my shelves down there. And this is a book I picked up on audiobook. It's 3 stars, but it was a good 3 stars. It was at the top end. And it was about a boy who, I think he's in his mid-teenage years, and he goes to Paris with his mum, who's a translator. And he meets up with this author. And you can tell there's a bit of an inappropriate relationship between them, which I found quite crude. And I think the age of the boy and the age of the girl was quite... Some of the descriptions I found uncomfortable being a mum of a son, and I found that quite uncomfortable. But the writing was good. It was a really thoroughly interesting book, but it wasn't one that set me on fire. It was one that I could just pick up and put down on the audiobook. It wasn't one that I was just desperate to listen to every day, apart from at the end when I got really into it, and then I was like, eek. So those are the 2 that were top end 3 stars, 3 nearly 4 stars books. I need to start doing what Bernard does and sort of do like ratings out of 10 rather than ratings out of 5 stars, because that would make it a bit easier to classify some of them. But now I go into my 4-star books, and I have to check my notes because some of them are audio books and some of them are library books, and I don't have all of them with me. So the first one is the one that I finished yesterday, and it's one I'm going to be giving to my mum. This is the 1940s 50s childhood. I've got the 1940s one, which I've kept, and I've got the 1960s one that I need to read. This is really good. It was better than the 1940s one. It was really good. My mum was born in 1952. Sorry, Mum, I told everyone your age. So I heard a lot about the 1950s, and obviously some of the Call the Midwife books are sort of set in that sort of time. So I find this era really interesting, and to go at it from a childhood point of view is very interesting, because my mum was a child in the 1950s. So I loved this. I found it really enjoyable. The copy of the book I've got, can you believe it looks brand new? The pages are white. We've got amazing pictures. I just really enjoyed it. It was one I flew through from tin baths to bread dripping. And this was when our country was changing. It was going out of the rationing, out of the post-war, and it was coming into its own. The 50s, the rock and roll 50s were coming in. It was a time when people really started to live again. And it's a time that just brings back so many... I just love it. Love every minute of it. I really enjoyed this. So this is a 4-star all the way, which is a very good rating for a non-fiction book. But, Mummy, you're going to have that. Just see Mia's walked in. She's down there. Then another one I read last night, which is Night by Elie Wiesel. It's actually the first in a series of 3. Now, I know Alex from Alex Black Reads has read Dawn and Dusk or something like that, which are the other books. And Mia's just made some lovely ice and biscuits, which are great. But anyway, so Charlie's lent me this, and it was very hard-hitting. It's set in Auschwitz. It's set at that sort of time. Very short book. I flew through it it's only 120 pages. So I flew through it really quickly, but I really found the writing in this is good. It's 4 stars for a short book this size, for a non-fiction book. It's brilliant. But again, it's about Auschwitz. It's about what happened in the concentration camps as well. It's a boy telling the story of him and his father when he got separated from his mother. I now want to read the other books because, yes, it's hard-hitting. Yes, it's like gut-wrenching, but it's written really well. And it's a translated fiction, so that's got another tick off one of my goals. So that's going back to Charlie. I'm all organised, my piles are there. The next one was my TBR jar pick for the month. And I thought it was a thriller, because I know a lot of Amanda Brooks books are thrillers. But it actually turns out this was a chick lit. But it's one that made me cry. And didn't I cry? Lucy has been desperate for a new heart for as long as she can remember, but getting the call to say that donor has been found will be bittersweet relief. Because for her to live, someone else must die. Julia, Helen and Phoebe are fast friends for all their lives, through Helen's unexpected pregnancy to the sudden death of Phoebe's mother and Julia's desperation to conceive. Yet a deep friendship can hide many secrets, and one of them, we find out at the start, they're all involved in a crash, and someone has to die to give and that crash is what gives Lucy the heart. And you interlink between the crash and what's going on before the crash, so leading up to the crash. And I found that part of the writing was really good. yeah, it did make me cry. Lucy's story, obviously, waiting for a heart. Oh God, that was killing me. And her mum, like, to know that your child's dying, it was really heartbreaking. But to also, you spent the whole book wondering who was going to die in the crash, and falling in love with each of the characters, and you really did fall in love. To me, this is one of the author's really good books, and I loved it. But it is going to a charity shop because it made me cry so much that I cannot keep this. It will make me cry too much. Then I read a Giovanna Fletcher. I told you I needed a chick lit, so I picked a book off my shelf that I wanted to read. And this is the second in the series about Billy. Sophie, and this is Billy and Me is the first book. And I believe there is also Christmas with Billy and Me, which I need to find somewhere. So if anyone's got it, let me know. I'd love to have that one. I love Billy and Me. To me, it was one of Giovanna Fletcher's best chick lit books. And this is the sequel to that. So when she and Billy set to take a trip to visit his family in Los Angeles, she quickly discovers that she is totally unprepared for the chaos of Hollywood and paparazzi and Billy's controlling mother. But when Billy extends his stay in LA, leaving Sophie to fly home to Roseford alone, it seems like there's more than just miles between them. Yes, this is chick lit. Yes, this is cosy. But it's also about your roots and what is important to you. And I love that. I love the relationship that Sophie now has with her mum. It's the step relationship of her mum's met someone in the previous book and is getting ready to get married, and that's really cute. That's really cuddly. It's the coffee shop. It's the relationship she has with her friends. It's her getting identity and her finding her strength again. And I love this. Yes, Billy's a bit of a hunk, but I really enjoyed this. But it's a standard chick lit. So it's a better chick lit, but it's not one I need to keep. So that's a charity shop one. But I did love it. Really glad I read it. I've got some more Giovanna Fletcher that to read. Then this one, my other sister Vicky lent me. So I was reading. I needed a book to read at bedtime. I thought it was a chick lit. I thought it couldn't kill me. This was a wrong book to read at bedtime. This is I think it might even be 4.5 stars. Let me have a look at my notes. Because it is a killer. It made me literally sob. No, it's not 4.5. It is 4 stars. But it really made me sob. And oh my goodness. I thought I was going to read it over 2 nights. I had to get it read by the end of the month. The last night I read over 100 pages because it was that good. Scott Hudson owes everything to his mother, Josie. Since the day he was diagnosed with heart failure, her whole life has been about him. She is at every appointment for every dark moment. Now with a new heart, Scott is ready to live again. But then something goes wrong. And he finds out, I'll be honest with you, straight very early on, he finds out that things are going wrong. That he doesn't have that long to live. And so he decides to set his mum up with some blind dates. He records her and he has tries to set her up with someone because he wants her to find someone because he's worried about her being on her own when she dies. And he also meets someone at the start, and that's very interesting. And it's about him coming to terms with what's going to happen. And there's some scenes at the end that are heartbreaking. To me, it made me think of my dad because this is the time of year when my dad was very, very poorly 11 years ago. This is the point when we knew that his life was terminal. And me and my mum were talking about it the other day. And I don't know how he felt about the dying, whether he felt it was going to be peaceful or what. And the death scenes in this, I'll be honest with you, it killed me. It really, really killed me. It was literally, my heart was sobbing because I then started thinking, did my dad know? Because I remember holding his hand and getting ready to release him and saying, it's okay, we're going to be okay. And and his mum, there's certain business, spoilers, don't listen on, but yeah, it killed me. It really killed me, but it was very well written and I loved it. Don't read this at bedtime. Do not read this unless you're prepared to cry. So yes, that's another one to go to my sister. Anyway, on a happier note, a good book I read at bedtime was The Borrowers by Mary Norton. I watched the film the other day, and the newest film, my friend Helen brought it over and we watched that. I remember the old TV series. I've got the older film I want to watch. The Borrower is an ultimate classic. I want Mia to read it. This is brilliant. It is set in the early 1800s, I believe. And you all know about The Borrowers. I don't need to tell you about it. But it's magical. It's brilliant. It's fun. And I loved it. 4 stars all the way. So yeah, that's a keepy one. I finally got a keepy book. Wow. Now, I'm not keeping many of this section. Now, this is the 4th book in the series. And this is the Plantagenet series by Philippa Gregory. This is The Kingsmaker's Daughter. And in my eyes, this is 101% one of the best books. This is actually 4.5 stars. It was that frigging good. I loved it. It was by far her best one yet in this series. I loved it. I don't know much about Anne Neville. No, you know the Neville surname, you remember hearing about it. But it's Anne Neville and her sister Isabel are daughters of the most powerful magnate in the 15th century England, the Earl of Warwick, and he was the Kingsmaker, so he kind of had an involvement into what makes the kings with royal blood in their veins. Widowed at 14, fatherless, stripped of her inheritance, with her mother locked in sanctuary and Isabel a vengeful enemy, Anne faces the world alone. And Anne's journey, we start off with her quite young, and we follow her through till the end. And she has a very eventful life. Yes, it's very hard, but the strength in her character is amazing. I love her, love her, love her. She's without one doubt one of my favourite characters in this series so far. But I find it hard because there is some references to the White Queen and how that side of it. And I obviously love the White Queen more than I love the Red Queen. So that links, and if there's anything negative about the White Queen, I find that hard because I love the White Queen. But, oh, it's just a really, really good book. If you like the Plantagenet series, read them in order, because I didn't originally, and now I'm reading them in order. I think it's definitely helping. I now can't wait to read The White Princess, because this was so, so good, and it left it on a note where I'm desperate to read The White Princess. But thoroughly one of the best ones. But yeah, because I'm not keeping the series, that's the charity shop again. Now this is one, Linda gave me this. Linda was my friend's choice this month. I think I bought this full price, unless someone got it for me, but I'm pretty sure this is one of the ones that's full price. I love Kate Morton's work, and it is 4.5 stars, but this is going on my I don't know whether I'm going to give this away or keep it pile. Please guys, let me know if I should keep it and try reading it again, because originally it was like 3 stars, then it went up to 4.5, then 4, and I'm not sure. It's between 4 and 4.5. I'm not sure whether to keep it or not, because I think I did buy it full price. I did like it, but it was probably not my favourite of the Kate Morton books so far that I've read so far. We've got different eras, like it's very typical Kate Morton, but I got quite lost in this. In the summer of 1862, shortly after her 18th birthday, a girl who is adopted by a mysterious stranger becomes in turn a thief, a friend, a muse, and a lover. So it's kind of her story interlinked in with other stories. I really don't know if I'm going to keep it or not. Over the next century and beyond, Birchwood Manor welcomes many newcomers, but it guards its secrets closely until another young woman is drawn in to visit the house, becoming the family secret because of a family secret of her own. The mystery of a clockmaker's daughter begins to unravel as we discover the stories of those that have passed through Birchwood Manor since that fateful day in 1862. Please let me know, do I keep this or not? I think it's going on to one side because I really can't decide whether I'm going to keep this or not. It is good, but it's not one of my favourite Kate Morton books. So this is my I don't know what to do with it pile. But now, let me just double check. I've got an audiobook. Now I'll tell you about the library ones. An audiobook that I only just finished yesterday was I Owe You One by Sophie Kinsella. Like I said, I needed a chicklet, and this was one of my favourite Sophie Kinsella books. Listening to an audiobook, it was alright. Actually, it's not one of my favourite. It's a very good one. I didn't like it at first because I think it's the voice of the narrator on it wasn't catching me, and some of the voices just irritate me because I couldn't picture the characters. But it was good. It was about this girl who has got the best intentions. She tries to do everything for anybody. She feels like she's getting walked over quite a lot. Kind of relate to that. And she is not the strongest of characters. She's called Fixie because she tries to fix things all the time. Not always goes in the right direction. But at this cafe, she is sitting near a guy and the ceiling falls, and she's like looking after his computer. And the ceiling falls through and the water comes through the roof, and she dives over his computer to save it. And he then puts her a note saying, I owe you one. And it's their relationship where he goes, I owe you one. And it's a lot of in between of them owing each other and doing different things for each other. Yes, it's a bit of romance, but it's good. Sorry, Thomas. I think Thomas is now going to quickly show you guys his eyes. There you go. There's Thomas showing you his ice biscuits. Goodbye, Thomas.
I want to eat.
Yes, they look great. And anyway, so it is a really good chick lit book, and I absolutely loved it. It was really good. Sophie Kinsella's Chick Lit. She's one of my favourites, and it was a really good book, and it's one I definitely recommend you get, and I'm glad I listened to it. Now the next one I read on ebook, and it was actually, I saw that Tandem were doing it, and I actually wanted to do the read along with Tandem, but I then got it on saw it on ebook. I also saw that Gemma from Read the Book Gem Again was reading it as well, and so she was reading it, and it was like, I loved it. 4.5 stars all the way. Sarah Crossman's books are great. I read one by her a few months ago and loved that, and this is, again, it's written in verse. Brilliant story. It's about a lady who falls in love with someone that's married, and she is married too, and then something happens to him at the start where he dies, and she is like working for their solicitors, and so she kind of forms a friendship with his wife, and you go backwards and forwards to when they were together and her life, and she's a mum as well, and all the hardships are going. She's burying her head in the sand, and the mother side of it kills me, because obviously I'm a mum with 2 young children, as you just saw, and that side of it kills you, because she doesn't always bond as well with her children, and that was really hard to read, because, you know, I struggled with that. But it was a brilliant book, really loved it, really glad. And I'm looking at how long this video is, so I better stop rambling. Now I go on to my 5-star books. I've only got five in front of me. Oh, another book which I'm currently reading. I'm going to count it in this video because it's going to be read by the end of today. Already, I read it last night and I read about 50 odd pages. No, 62 pages. It's going to be 4 stars. It's a retelling of The Beauty and the Beast. Absolutely loved it. I can't tell you much more than that, but I know it's going to be 4 stars. But look on my Goodreads page at the end of this, you'll find out whether it got 4 or whether it got up to 4.5. Then to my 5-star books. North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. It's rare that a classic gets 5 stars, but boy does it get 5 stars. I read it with Ange with an E. Ange with an E. Lovely girl. First time buddy reading with her. She was brilliant. And Danny from Spinelli Speaks. Danny is amazing. We've got a lot of books in common, and so she said she was reading it. They were reading it together. They let me join in. I read it first because that's typical me, and I love Elizabeth Gaskell. Kate from Kate Howard, yes, you are right. Elizabeth Gaskell is probably one of my favourite. She's getting close to the Brontes as one of my favourite Victorian classic author. I love it. It's about the North and South divide. It's about the industrialisation. It's about the Industrial Revolution. It's about the industrial things and romance, bit of love, bit of warning. Lots of people die in this. Very, very lots of people die in this, and she has to go through so much. It's just brilliant. Margaret Hales from the Southern Born. She goes up north because her father decides to leave the church, and that's a bit of controversy. She meets John Thornton, who's a young northern mill owner. There's some really interesting bits of those two. His mother makes me crack up. John Thornton's mother made me crack up, and I loved her. John Thornton, you loved. It's brilliant. One of my favourites. Absolutely loved that. Recommend Elizabeth Gaskell all the way. I was gonna show you that one, but I'm not, because I'm gonna have 3 favourites this month. Then another one which you all know about, The Confessions of Franny Langton. It's been all over social media. Everyone knows about this book. It is such a brilliant book. 5 stars all the way. The Confessions of Franny Langton. This is Franny Langton's stories. She is accused of murdering her 2 bosses / the people who own her, basically. And it's set in 1826 in London. But it doesn't start off there. It starts off in America. And she's basically brought over. And her story alone, and she's telling her story. She's telling why things happened. You've got some LGBTQ plus stuff written in this. You've got race. You've got religion. You've got, you know, so many really important things happen in this book. And it is so good. There are triggers, again, for rape, for abuse, for so many different things. So be warned, don't go into this thinking this is easy. It's not easy, but the writing is amazing. I am so glad I read this. And I'm still, another one where I'm like, do I keep it? No, I won't keep it because I want other people to read it. Actually, second thoughts, I will keep it because look at the end pages. It's gorgeous. Okay, I'm going to keep it. I'm actually going to have a keeper. Absolutely love this. Everyone's raved about this book and I am thoroughly in love with it. Please pick it up. Then another one that I borrowed from Charlie. 5 stars all the way. I almost wish I didn't have to give it back to her. Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. It's another book that is absolutely incredible. And 5 stars all the way. This is about twins. Now they are actually black, but they look white. And so when they disappear from our hometown, they go off in very different directions. One of them goes off and pretends to be white, ignores her black heritage. One of them meets someone, has a very black daughter, so she again goes back to her hometown, even though she never wanted to go back there. She ran away from there, but she has to go back there when something happens. And eventually their lives separate completely. They lost each other, and that's heartbreaking, the twins and that sort of side of it. The vanishing other half, vanishing half of her. And their two daughters meet up in university, like in the second half of the book, and how their lives meet up and how that brings them together and how it all kind of connects. And you spend so long waiting for them to meet up, waiting for what's going to happen, how's it all going to go. And you've also got LGBTQ plus stuff in this book as well. And that's really well written in. It's a bit that I didn't expect. It was so blooming well written. Again, you're tackling race, you're tackling a lot of interesting issues, but it's written so well. You're going backwards and forwards for different timelines, you're going for the different characters, but you don't get lost at any point in this book. It is a thoroughly excellent book, and I am so glad I read it. Thank you, Charlie. I love this book. So that's another one to go back. I've also got to tell you about Miss Austen by Jill Hornby. I finally read that on an ebook. 5 stars all the way. This is about Cassandra Austen's story. Absolutely incredible. You guys don't need me to tell you. If you like Jane Austen, if you like books set in that time, pick that book up. It is brilliant. Cassandra links in stuff about Jane, and this is sort of mainly set after Jane's died, and Cassandra is going to find the letters that Jane wrote to her sister-in-law, and to protect Jane's memory, to protect Jane. That it also talks about Persuasion, because it's Persuasion's book that never got finished. No, not Persuasion. No. Yeah, I think Persuasion's in it as well. Yeah, Persuasion was the last book and it never got finished. So that book was in. There's links to that in there. So you read Persuasion first, otherwise you'll find out some spoilers. So that was good. Another one I listened to another ebook was Music from Another World by Robin Talley. This is set in America, and again we've got race issues. There's one black girl, I think, and there's LGBTQ plus stuff in it, because one of them is a lesbian and she's writing to her to a pen pal from a church pen pal, and they write together and they form a friendship, and then something happens and one of them runs away, and she runs away to this other girl and they meet up, and it's really interesting. It's tackling so many things. The way that in that sort of time, I think it was in the 50s or 60s, no, 60s or 70s, and the way that things were tackled then, the racism and the oh my goodness, to me it was the way that they treated people that were teachers. They didn't want you to be a teacher if you were gay. How wrong is that? How absolutely bloody annoying is that? And the way they treated people in that time, it infuriated me, but it was well written, passionate. I just got so angry because I want people to be treated equally, and I've done my best. I'm doing my best to educate myself better, and I found that book was amazing. Didn't expect it to be so good, but again, it's also got the rock and roll. You've got links into musicians, music at the time, women's rights as well. There's so many important issues that are tackled in this book, and it's so good. Definitely recommend it. Now, this is a very long video. This is a book that I got sent for a read along with Tandem Press. You guys know I love this. 5 stars all the way. Clint from Reads Readers had talked about this and he loved it, and OMG, I loved it so much. So when I got accepted on this readathon, I screamed. My friend heard me, I screamed. This is 5 stars all the way. This is a retelling of Cinderella. She's been dead for 200 years. And this is about a woman fight for your stand up for what you believe in, say what you need to say, and it's so many great quotes in this. Sophia is basically, in this, all the girls have to go to a ball. They get 3 chances of being chosen by someone to be a wife, and to go down that route, they have to go down that route. They've been told Cinderella's story, and if they're not chosen, then they have to be a forfeit, and things are really tough. Sophia doesn't want to be chosen. She wants to go off with her girlfriend. She's got a girl that she loves and she wants to go off with her. So when she stands up and she walks away, she's like, no, I don't want to do that. And it's her right to change the world, and she's changing where she lives. She's standing up for the rights of women, and they go on a brilliant journey. Oh, absolutely 101%, absolutely incredible book. Love this, 5 stars all the way. And that is joint favourite for the month with Paige Toon's books, The Minute I Saw You. This is Paige Toon's most recent book. Again, I love this. This is one of my favourite books. This is my favourite Paige Toon book she's ever written. It is set. The leading lady in this, Hannah, actually works in opticians, and within the first scene is set actually at opticians, and that's where she meets the guy, Sonny, which is the leading man of the story. And the way she describes things that happen in an optician is so beautiful. It's amazing, and it's so accurate. So for someone who also, like I said, I work in opticians, I'm on furlough at the moment, but I didn't believe that she could get the pre-test so bang on. The way things run at an optician, she got it bang on. So that description's brilliant. This is tackling, so she meets Sonny, Hannah meets Sonny, and instantly she feels there's a bond. But there is a lot of obstacles in their way. At the start, they both don't want to have long distance relationships. They're not into it. They've both got problems of their own that they need to deal with. And so they decide to be friends. And it's the journey of the fact that over that summer, friendship doesn't always, things change, and it's brilliant. And there are triggers in this because there are some things that really happen in it, and that are very heartbreaking. I laughed, I cried, I love this book. To me, it's the best Paige Toon book that there ever is. It's just my favourite. And there's links into our other books, which I love. And she commented on my review. She said thank you. Love that. So, my top books of the month are these two and The Black Flamingo by Dean Atta. I love them. I had some amazing books. It's been great fun. This is a really long video. I'm sorry, guys, but I'm back and I'm crazy and I'm me. But you know what? I like it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel and not subscribed yet, ring on my ding-a-ling. And I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.